So, I want to talk about another dating coach today. This dating coach is a rules dating coach. So, if you're familiar at all with that very well known book that was published in the 90s called The Rules, I've actually done a couple of videos, like long form videos on my channel about it. This was a dating strategy that I'm ashamed to say I followed for a short while. I don't know. It's really terrible. I think back on it with so much embarrassment. Like, how did I not see that this was so problematic and that this was just so artificial and manipulative? But this is the thing: is these dating strategies, these methods, this advice given by dating coaches often is just so manipulative in itself, even the way that they pull customers in, the way that they pull their audience in, that you can find yourself following this really convoluted, bad advice, manipulative advice, which turns you into a person who is not who you really are. You can find yourself following it when you're in a vulnerable place. And you get kind of sucked in gradually, a bit like with a cult, which is why it fascinates me so much to talk about all of this stuff. I'm fascinated by how someone um, who probably does know better, someone who does have a strong sense of self, and probably would never behave like this if they were just being themselves, but they can get sucked in by these dating coaches. And if you've experienced this, if you've been sucked in by one of these kind of dating coaching scams, in my opinion, that's what they are. But if you have been sucked in before, you'll know what I'm talking about, how it can turn you into a person who's not really you. And once you kind of wake up from it and you look back on it, you're like, geez, what? What was I believing? What was I doing? But in any case, we're going to talk today about a rules dating coach. Her screen name is Penny Love. I don't think that's her real name. And I want to talk about her not only because she is a feminine energy dating coach. The rules borrows heavily from the concepts of feminine energy. I've talked many times about why I find that so toxic. Feminine energy dating advice in itself as a whole is extremely toxic and bad, in my opinion. But it's not just because Penny Love is a rules dating coach, but it's also because she is someone who she's a coach who, shall we say, does not respond well to criticism and negative feedback. Um, During my brief stint with following the rules, I was actually part of a rules Facebook group for women, which was headed up by this coach, Penny Love. And she ruled that group in a way that was very interesting. I won't get into the details of that in this video. I don't think it's necessary for the purposes of this discussion. But I do want to look at some of her content, some of the things that she is advising her clients to do. She's reasonably successful, although she has a very small YouTube channel. I gather that her primary business is actually done on Facebook, via groups that funnel women who have read the rules book and are looking for a coach to work with. But anyway, you'll see from a couple of the videos that we're going to look at why this advice is so damaging and toxic and bad. So I'm going to just look at a few videos that she posted on her YouTube channel. I don't know how many of these we'll get through. Some of her videos are sort of more longer form content. I don't have the stomach or the energy to or the time to react to those. So we're just going to look at a couple of her shorter videos, but they give you a pretty good idea of the kind of advice, I think. So let's just pull up her YouTube channel. So this is who we're talking about. I'm going to just look at a couple of the shorter videos. This one is called the 3-day dating rule. This is a rules concept. that comes from the book written by Ellen Fine and Sherry Schneider. So let's have a look.
Did you know about the dating 3-day rule? The 3-day rule is how many days you required of notice to go on a date with a guy that is asking you out to go on a date.
So this, as I say, this is taken directly from the rules book, the rules strategy for dating. And the authors are pretty famous. This is one of their most famous pieces of advice. They tell women that they need to have at least 3 days' notice from a man if he wants to take her on a date. Anything less than that, and a woman is supposed to just say no.
Date. So if you meet a guy on Tinder or any of the dating apps and they ask you out and you say, sure, going out sounds great, and he goes, how about tomorrow? You can't take that offer. And why can you not?
So, one of the things that pisses me off about the rules in particular is the fact that it's very prescriptive. And I have spoken about this in my videos that I did about the rules. It's very prescriptive. It shamelessly tells women what they can and can't do. A bit like a school teacher, like a parent, like an authority figure that knows better than you. Of course, you know, the authors of the books know exactly what you should and shouldn't do, and they're going to tell you these are not suggestions. These are prescriptive rules. This is a regime. This is it's a regimen. These are non-negotiables. So if you're going to follow these rules, you have to abide by rules like this, otherwise you will be shamed by not only the authors of the book, but if you happen to belong to a community like the one that Penny Love runs, and if you happen to have a coach, that community and that coach will shame you as well if you decide not to follow this 3-day rule.
Take that offer, I hear you ask. It's because you are a woman of high value. You are busy. You have things that.
Okay, so I'm going to be stopping this a lot because I think it's so important that we break this down in minute detail, because a lot gets said, even though perhaps not a lot of words are used. So she talks about a woman being busy and high value. Those are not the same things. Just because someone is busy, it does not mean that they have more value than someone else. And if we go even further than that, just the mere use of that term, high value, is something I take a lot of issue with. One person is not more valuable or high value than another. And this concept of women aspiring to be high value is rampant in the feminine energy dating world. The feminine energy advice, feminine energy style dating strongly pushes this idea of women being high value. The rules also has this concept. They call it being a creature unlike any other, which is their, bullshit term for a woman who is high value. But it's this concept that a woman can elevate herself to being more valuable by simply being more unattainable, more unavailable, by appearing to not have time for a man. That's the philosophy behind it. And it's total bullshit. As I say, not only does being busy not actually make you more valuable, you're not more or less valuable depending on how much you're doing or on how much you have planned in your schedule. Not only is that not true, but also different, one woman is not more valuable than another. We're all human beings of equal value. And just if you take this concept of one person being more valuable than another to its logical conclusion, you get extremely problematic and toxic thinking. That's where you get things like sexism, misogyny, racism, homophobia, xenophobia, all those awful ways of treating people that say to a person, you are less than me. You do not have the same value as me. We are on different levels in terms of our value. And so hopefully it's clear why I have a massive problem with this thinking.
that are important that you need to attend to. You have important things to do. You have important people to see. You are a very important person yourself. This is
So this is another problematic aspect of this. It's this idea that you can't say yes to a man who asks you for a date within 3 days, in less than 3 days, because you are important, you have important things to do, you're an important person. Um, well, first of all, you're not more important than the man asking you on a date. You're not more important than anyone else. You might have important things to do, sure. We all have obligations. And if you let me just be clear, if you legitimately have things to do, if you legitimately have important things to do, or even if you just don't want to go on the date, when he's asking you to go on a date, you do not have to say yes. But it's this concept of, I'm going to pretend that I have important things to do. I'm going to pretend that I'm busy. I'm going to pretend that I'm this incredibly important sought after person. And that's why I can't go on the date, whether or not it's actually true. You know, I'm an introverted person, I'm a neurodivergent person. And so I spend long periods of time on my own, which might look to the outside world as if I don't have important things to do. But for me, spending time recharging, being by myself, spending time in reflection, reading books, listening to music, watching, you know, TV shows, or even just being by myself, working on my house, my garden, all the things that I need to do in order to recharge my batteries. Um, that might look as if I don't have important things to do, but that is my way of prioritizing myself. And sometimes people might not understand why I might turn them down if they invite me to do something or if they suggest that I do something when I'm actually just doing those things that I just mentioned, and I'm attending to myself. For me, that's a form of self care, and it's extremely important in order for me to replenish my energy. And again, that's another problematic aspect to this. I might not have so called important things to do or people to see or like actual kind of things penciled into my diary. I might not actually have things scheduled. But me just being on my own is something that I have to set aside time for, that I like to set aside time for. And so sometimes if someone invites me to do something, even though I don't actually have plans per se, or my plans involve just being by myself, I might still say no. And that's valid. Whatever you are doing with your time, if that's what you want to be doing, that is 1,000,000% valid. That's what you should be doing. And you don't have to accept an invitation to a date or to do anything if you don't want to, if there's something else that you would rather be doing with your time. But likewise, if I take myself again as an example, sometimes I am at home and sometimes I do want company. Sometimes I do want to be doing something with someone else. And someone might invite me to do something at the last minute, and what should I just say, even though I would love to go and I do want the company, and I do actually have the energy to be around people, should I just say no because some woman on the internet who calls herself a dating coach says that I can't? Or if a guy asks me on a date, should I even though I want to go and I actually don't have other things that I'd rather be doing, should I just say no just just because? And again, hopefully, I've also debunked this idea of you being important and you being high value. This is all just a trumped up way to make people who follow this advice feel as if they are elevating themselves somehow, as if they're actually investing in themselves. It's all artificial. It's not real. You're not actually um, spending time growing and developing yourself. You're just simply saying no for the sake of it.
This is not to say that you think that you are more important than everybody else, but you love and respect yourself. And
You see, she says that. This is not to say that you're more important than everybody else. So they'll say this, but the advice that they're giving contradicts that, because what they're really saying is, um, I don't value or respect this other person enough to be honest with them and to say, you know what, this is a bit too short notice for me. I've actually got other things that I need to be doing. Is it okay if we go out on, Friday instead? I can't make it tomorrow, unfortunately. Um, you're not actually giving them the respect of and the common decency and the honesty of being direct with them, of being honest. You're instead making up these excuses. Oh, well, no, I just can't. I have plans. It's and again, even if you don't have plans, you're supposed to say that if you actually have plans, that's fine. Then you are being honest. But you're supposed to say that you have plans even if you don't.
you are not going to take that last minute offer. You're simply not a last minute kind of girl. You are a high value girl.
See, do you see where she just said a moment ago, it's not to say that you're more important than everyone else, but then a few seconds later, she says, well, you're not a last minute kind of girl. Now, although she's not saying it directly, what she's saying indirectly is all those other girls who are last minute kind of girls, who are willing to accept a date with a man at the last minute, they're not high value. They're not as valuable. They're not as important as you. You're not a last minute kind of girl, meaning you're better than them. That's what this is saying. This kind of advice fucks with your head because it is so full of contradictions and because the messaging is so toxic. The messaging underneath what they're saying is so toxic.
Who requires at least 3 days notice. Listen, if you just met me and you are new to my style of coaching, it might be a lie that you got things to do tomorrow, and that's fine.
You see, she's saying it's fine to lie. It might, when she says it might be a lie that you have things to do tomorrow, and that's fine. So, right from the get go, if you happen to get into a relationship with this man, you are lying to him and you're making that okay. You're right from the jump saying that it's okay not to have honest, authentic communication. It's okay for you to not be real. It's okay for you to not be authentic and honest with him. It's okay for you to lie to him and pretend that you have plans, even though you don't. It's okay for you to pretend that you don't want to see him, even if you really do. And the authors of the rules see no problem with this. Helping women to get into relationships where they have built the initial phase of the relationship on lies and manipulation. And what? Then you get into a relationship, and further down the line, what, you're suddenly just going to start being honest with him. Suddenly it's all just going to change. It's all going to transform. And suddenly your relationship is just going to become this wonderful, authentic, honest place where you can actually communicate openly. That doesn't happen. What happens is women get into relationships based on lying to a man, and a man gets a particular impression of this person that she is projecting. And so, what tends to happen is you either attract avoidant men who actually want a woman that's not all that available, or you attract men who have a particular idea of who you are and perhaps aren't able to communicate honestly and authentically, or will become quite shocked when you do start communicating honestly and authentically. It's setting a very, very shaky foundation for this, you know, burgeoning relationship.
But if you stick with me, you will see how very soon you are gonna be getting busy with your life. Busy loving yourself. Busy taking care of yourself. Busy taking care of your hobbies. Busy taking care of your career. Busy taking care of your home. Busy taking care of your friends and family. Busy with life. When we leave our
All those things are great. Don't get me wrong. If you are genuinely busy with those things and that's what you want to be doing, I hope I'm making myself really clear. I am by no means saying that you should. I'm not giving advice at all, actually. That any advice that I ever give on my channel is to trust yourself and to be yourself. So I'm not telling you what to do. But what I am saying is, if you are genuinely busy with those things, if that's what you want to be doing, you know, taking care of family, friends, your home, your job, your well being, yourself, your all those are things I think we are all busy with at some point. I'm busy with those things a lot of the time. If you're genuinely busy with those things, then that's great. If you genuinely can't, you know, go on a date or accept an invitation because you're busy with those things, then great. But don't what I'm saying is, don't make up a story that you're busy. If you're not, if you actually do want to accept the invitation, if you don't, again, that's cool. But if you do want to accept the invitation, if you're not busy, why shouldn't you go? It's only so that you can, it's only so that these coaches can sell you the lie that you can elevate yourself above other women who accept dates last minute. That's all it's about. And that's why I'm here pointing out what's really going on here. I'm not telling you what to do, and I would never do that. You should accept a date if you want to accept a date, and not accept a date if you don't want to accept a date. But don't lie and don't manipulate, because that's going to get you and the person that you're dating into a lot of trouble.
lives focus on everybody else, we are not busy because we are not taking care of ourselves. But girl, you're gonna start taking very good care of yourself, and that means that you are gonna be very busy tomorrow. So next time that a guy asks you out, are you free tomorrow? You're gonna say, sorry, I already got plans for tomorrow. That means that for a Saturday night date, he needs to ask you out by Wednesday night. Don't forget to like and follow for more.
So, not only are these coaches quite fine with telling women what to do and being prescriptive towards women, but they're also quite fine with telling men what to do as well. Gosh, this is just got so, this always happens when I start filming a video. It suddenly gets super bright. Just a sec. It's like clockwork. I probably should plan for these things when I always decide to record videos on these beautiful, glorious, bright days. We're having a heat wave in Ireland at the moment. So that was Penny Love. Let's have a look at another video from her channel. Okay. So let's go with another short one. Rotation dating. That could be good. Yeah. Let's watch this. Let's watch this one. So rotation dating is also called circular dating in the feminine energy dating world. And all that it means is dating multiple people at the same time. It means not becoming exclusive with one person. Just means, that you've got a few, if you're a woman dating a man, dating men, you've got a few men that you are rotating, essentially. Nothing wrong with that, really, if that's what you want to do. But the way that it is taught in the rules world, in the feminine energy dating world, is like everything else, kind of toxic. So let's have a look.
Have you ever heard of a dating rotation? Like duty dating, having a dating rotation is dating a rotation of guys that are treating you really well.
So it's also called duty dating. And the reason it's called duty dating, I mean, duty dating sounds like a lot of fun. Not. It sounds like a chore, doesn't it? It's called duty dating because basically it's again something that women who are following this sort of dating advice are being forced to do. And by the way, I can speak on all of this with a certain amount of I'm quite informed. I can speak on it with a certain amount of authority because I followed all this crap for years and it really, really messed with my head. But anyway, it's called duty dating because it's something that women are told they need to do. Again, it's this very prescriptive advice. It takes all the fun or all the autonomy for the woman out of dating. She's no longer got her own agency. She's being told what to do by these coaches. But it's called duty dating because women are being told that they need to date multiple men at once so that they don't get too hooked on one guy, so that they don't get too attached to one guy, so that they can easily switch out the men that they're dating if one guy starts dropping the ball. That's what it's about, really. Um, and the idea behind that is not necessarily bad in itself. I do agree with the idea that you should be walking away from people who treat you poorly or who don't kind of match what you're looking for in terms of how you want to be treated. And if you have, other people that you can spend time with, then that can make that a less painful process. And even, the authors who wrote the book Attached, who wrote about attachment theory, say that dating multiple people at once can be a really good way for anxious people not to become overly fixated on one person. So the idea of dating multiple people at once is not bad in and of itself. It can have many benefits. But the objection that I have to it when it comes to feminine energy dating advice is that, again, like I mentioned, it's a rule for women. It's not something they're given a choice in. They have to do it. Otherwise, they will be shamed by the coach, by the other women in the community, by the teachings. They're told that they have to date multiple men pretty much until one of those men proposes. It's crazy. It's insane. So they're strongly advised against becoming a girlfriend, becoming exclusive with a man, because this is seen as a way that women give up their power. And again, it's totally undermining the concept of an authentic, equal, respectful relationship between men and women, a relationship where you can actually communicate openly and lovingly. I mean, I do not agree that if someone is in love with a person, if they're monogamous and they want to be with that person, I do not agree with trying to force them to date multiple people. I think that's borderline emotional abuse. But anyway, before I get too much on my soapbox about that, let's listen to what Penny Love has to say.
that are being very polite with you. They're being very gentlemanly. They're asking you out on dates. They're paying for the dates. They're planning everything, and they are taking very good care of you.
So let's not forget that the rules dating advice, the rules way of dating is deeply sexist. It's firmly, firmly entrenched in traditional gender roles. The man is expected to plan the dates, ask you out well in advance, pay for dates. He's meant to be treating you pretty much like waiting on you hand and foot almost. Um, he's meant to be putting forth all this pursuing energy. They talk about a man pursuing you, chasing you, and you as the woman are meant to be sort of this serene, submissive, kind of ladylike person who uh, doesn't have any assertiveness or doesn't even really have much agency in the relationship, except the only sort of ways in which women can exercise their power in feminine energy dating is to say no to dates, to turn a man down for dates. And yeah, that's it, actually. There's nothing else really proactive that women are allowed to do in this whole world of dating. The man is expected to make all the effort. And so, if you are someone who is in the dating world at the moment and you're seeing a lot of really perplexing behavior from men and women, you're kind of wondering why they're doing these extremely strange things. There's a good chance that they're either following the kooky advice of someone like this, or they have been influenced by that type of advice somewhere along the way. And it's influencing their perception of what men and women should be doing in relationships. I spend a lot of time on the dating over 40 subreddit. It's a lot of fun. I just kind of enjoy reading about people's experiences, but I see this kind of thing a lot. I can kind of spot it a mile away when someone is following feminine energy style dating, or they've been influenced by that way of thinking. A lot of our, you know, parents might have been influenced by this way of thinking as well. So it's pervasive. And I would really love us to move away from it. And by the way, just to be clear, if a man has the means to pay for a date, if he has the money and he wants to pay for the date and the woman is okay with that and the man is okay with it and it's all consensual and everyone's a willing participant and no one is feeling resentful or shortchanged in the interaction, then I think that's great. People should go for it. People should do whatever they want as long as it's all respectful and consensual and that no one is feeling like that there are all these unrealistic expectations of them. So all these things about a man being gentlemanly, that's all lovely as long as it's all done in a very, consensual, respectful way where everyone is a willing participant. But I don't like the fact that coaches like this are telling men and women how they're supposed to be behaving.
And whilst you're single and whilst you're thinking about who you want to become exclusive, you rotate them all, you date them all. I know some of you.
She's talking about when you're thinking about who you want to become exclusive with, but I can tell you from someone who spent a long time in this world of this style of dating. And even if you read the rules book, you're not encouraged to become exclusive in a relationship until there is an engagement or a talk of marriage, plans to get married, or you're planning to get engaged. Basically, they don't encourage exclusive dating um, prior to actually having plans to get married. And I suppose that kind of will leave people wondering, what if you're not someone what if you're someone who doesn't want to get married? Um, it gets kind of murky and confusing. This is, again, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. I could make a whole video just about this. Um, but these this style of dating is strongly, strongly pro marriage, and it assumes that all women are working towards just getting a husband, getting a ring on their finger. Like that's the ultimate goal. And once you get to that point, you have arrived, you have achieved what you set out to achieve. And the dating advice pretty much mostly stops there. So it's all kind of this marathon race to kind of get you to the point of getting a ring on your finger and getting married. Um, but as I say, a lot of people just don't want to get married. And additionally, a lot of countries, such as the UK, provide a lot of protection to couples who are cohabitating for a certain amount of time. A lot of the same legal protections that apply to married couples also apply to cohabitating couples here in the UK. So that's just an interesting aside. I suppose my point is this advice is extremely outdated, in my opinion. The world has moved on. The world is moving on, thank goodness. And I think it makes this kind of advice ever more confusing and ever more out of place in an evolving world where men and women are just becoming more and more equal with each passing year, which I think is wonderful.
Are shouting at me saying, "Well, who do you think I am, Penny? I am not that kind of girl." I know you're not, and you're not this kind of girl, and I am not asking you to do that.
Do you see how women are encouraged to talk about themselves, to talk about women and other women, even about women just in general? I'm not that kind of girl. Who do you think I am? It's this whole, that's what it's all about. It's all about selling an idea to women that they can be better than these other women who are only dating one guy at a time, who are accepting dates at the last minute. The rules authors will specifically talk like this in their book, and I should know, I've read the rules several times. But they actually talk about teaching women to be kind of better than other women. And this is the kind of thinking that is encouraged in these sorts of philosophies of dating.
You're simply going out on dates. Whilst you're single, you can go and date as many guys as you like, and you can date several men at the same time. Believe you me, guys are doing this too.
And that's fair enough. Of course, if you are not exclusive with someone, you're technically single, you can date multiple people ethically. There's nothing wrong with that. And similarly, if a guy is not in an exclusive relationship, you know, I'm sure that he is also keeping his options open to an extent, or he may be keeping his options open, and you need to be aware of that. That's fine. But again, what about people such as myself who are very introverted, who are neurodivergent, and who find even dating one person can be a lot if you're this sort of person. Never mind dating multiple people. It can be extremely draining on the very limited resources that we have. And I can attest to this. The few times that I did date, say, maximum two guys simultaneously for a short period of time because I wasn't exclusive with anyone. When I did this, I found it to be a massive drain on me. It was a drain emotionally, it was a drain mentally, physically. It was a drain on my limited time because I work as well. And it's you know, I don't think you should feel any sort of obligation to do this if it's going to negatively impact you as a person. And that's what I found. I also found that the more time that passed, if it got beyond just a couple of weeks, I started to feel really weird about dating more than one person at once. It made me feel, I would inevitably feel like I was getting more attached to one than the other. And then I would feel as if I was wasting the other person's time. And it was just, honestly, it was just all a very strange experience for me, and it just didn't really suit me personally. So it's not really my preferred thing to do, to date multiple people at once. Beyond, like, I think the first week or two, it's fine, and it's great for me anyway. To meet a few different people just to see who I might want to continue dating. But when it gets beyond a few weeks, then it starts to become too much for me. So that's just me personally, but I can understand how a different someone who's different than me, someone who's more extroverted, someone who isn't drained by dating, I could see how they could be dating multiple people and it would be fine. And again, as long as it's ethical, as long as it's what you want to do, then go for it. But my issue with feminine energy style dating, with the rule style dating, is that it tells all women that they have to do this. You're strongly discouraged, as I say, from dating just one man or from being exclusive until there's some sort of commitment.
We need to explore our choices. Go and date all of these guys and spread your energy around. If you're only dating one guy, you are gonna end up making yourself think that this is your only choice. But if you are having a rotation, you have got other choices. And if the minute that the guy is not giving you a good vibe or is like giving you poor behavior, you dump him because you got another one on the rotation.
So, as I say, I don't necessarily disagree with this advice. It's not bad advice per se to encourage people to just keep their options open for a bit, because, as I say, there's research behind this. If you're someone who tends towards being anxiously attached, it can really help you not to fixate on one person. And as she says, it can help you to realize that this one guy isn't the be all and end all, that there are other people. And if they start treating you badly or behaving badly, you don't need to stress too much about ending things, because there are other people that you're seeing. I think that's all fine. But again, it should be a choice. Women should have autonomy when it comes to this. They shouldn't feel like they have to date lots of guys at once if it's not really what they want to do. And that's where my issue with this comes in.
You will not make yourself think that that's you're stuck with this guy. And whilst you are thinking about whether you want to date this guy for real, you want to go exclusive with him, and also whilst the guys are thinking about whether they want to be exclusive with you, until one guy asks you to be exclusive, you are allowed to date as many guys as you like. We're not talking about you're gonna go sleeping with all of these guys. I don't even necessarily want you to kiss them all, right? Like, for sure, don't kiss guys on date 0. But then afterwards, you
See, again, they have no problem. These coaches have no problem telling women what to do with their own bodies. Oh, you don't need to be kissing all of these guys. You don't need to be sleeping with all of these guys. Well, if they're all consenting adults, if they're, if it's safe, and as I say, if they're willing, if there's consent, if it's all respectful, they can actually do whatever they like. And if a woman wants to kiss a guy on, she talks about date 0, which might be, confusing if you've never heard that term before. The rules talks about going on a date 0 to meet the person first, which is basically like just a short coffee date. I think it's supposed to be no more than an hour, like half an hour, ideally, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour at the most, where you just go and meet the person for coffee. And she's saying you shouldn't be kissing someone on date 0. Well, why not? What's wrong with kissing? I'd like to know. Why are they demonizing kissing now? I'll tell you why they're doing it. Because again, it's all about selling this idea to the women consuming this content, consuming this advice, that she can be better than the other women who are kissing a guy on the first coffee date. She can be better than those women. She can elevate herself. She can elevate her status. She can elevate her value. And it's selling this idea to women that because of this elevated value that she has gained by not doing these things that other women are doing, not accepting a date at the last minute, by dating multiple people at once, by not kissing on that first coffee date. By doing these things, she is turning herself into a woman who has more value than other women. And that this makes this, you know, cons her, tricks her into believing that she will get a high value husband, a high value man. Because as I point out, this style of dating advice doesn't only diminish and degrade women, it diminishes and degrades men too. So even men are categorized into like high value and low value. She's probably not going to get into it with this video, but I can tell you, as someone who's spent time in these communities, who's spent time following this sort of advice or trying to, it was a head melt experience. But men are also categorized into like low value, high value. And so, as I say, women are tricked into believing that if they do these things that the rules advises them to do, that they will get themselves a high value man.
To maintain your boundaries, you are getting to know them. If they try to get a bit, with you, you say, well, I'm enjoying getting to know you, and build a rotation up. How many guys have you got in your rotation? To learn more about having a rotation and how this is really good for your feminine energy, come and join me at the Love School. If you want to learn more about having a rotation, being your feminine energy, becoming a woman of high value, come and join me at my Love School, which is a subscription service that I have got, and the link is in my bio.
So she is a dating coach who sells a subscription service to her clients. Now, I've talked about subscriptions before on my channel, most famously with Matthew Hussey. I've talked about why they are a breeding ground for scammers. But anyway, so she operates a subscription service. She also operates a Facebook group, as I mentioned, where she tries to funnel clients into paying for her services. And yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into the details of what I know about this coach, or the little bit of experience that I've had with her, but just suffice to say, uh, yeah, just be careful. Be careful of coaches like this, because I think they are not, they do not have your best interests at heart, despite what they claim. That's about all that I can stomach of this type of advice for this video. So I'm going to leave it there, and maybe I'll do another video on this coach or on another rules coach in the future. It's kind of tough to do videos on rules coaches because there aren't a lot of them that are like super public, with lots of content to react to. But there, believe it or not, there are actually a lot of certified rules coaches out there. So yeah, it's kind of scary. But I'll leave it there for today. Please take care of yourselves, and be very wary anytime you come across this sort of advice. If you are in the dating pool and you see strange behavior. I'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye, everyone.